Hi, my name is Buried Bones, and welcome to my tier list of Valve games. So, the reason I wanted to do this tier list is I want to put my opinion out there on which Valve games are the best and where I would rank them in comparison to each other. So, basically, I have already placed these Valve games that I've never played before. Like, I do not know what Codename Gordon is. I do not know what Moondust is. I have not played Half-Life Uplink. I've not played Half-Life 2, the Japanese, I don't know what that is, arcade version. I've not played basically these games. But I have played all of these. I've played all of these Valve games and I'm gonna rank them right now. So we're gonna start with Half-Life. Original 1998 in the Gold Source engine. So this game is not as good now as it was when it came out. And the reason I say that is Black Mesa. I don't know what else, what I can say about Half-Life that hasn't been said before, because obviously Half-Life is legendary and it's influential. It has pretty much changed the gaming landscape since it came out. But I would not put the original Half-Life over Black Mesa, the remake, unofficial remake. I would not put that over that. But since this is a strictly Valve-based games made by Valve tier list, this is going into S tier simply for how legendary this is and how influential this game actually was when it came out. I might do a more in-depth video on this game if it's really necessary, but anyway, that game is S tier simply for its legendary status. Next up, we have Team Fortress. Does that say? I'm not sure what that says. That is Team Fortress Reloaded, or that says Classic. I don't know. I don't know if there's a remake of Team Fortress. I've actually never played Team Fortress, so the first one I'm gonna put that there. I skipped over that. Next up, we have Opposing Force, the expansion pack for Half-Life, or should I say DLC, as you would know. So, in my opinion, this is the best expansion pack for Half-Life. It's better than Blue Shift. It has so many more interesting elements than Blue Shift. It has new enemies, new weapons, obviously new environments, but it has more lore, which goes into the soldiers. You play as Shepard. It has some more Gordon Freeman lore. He's shown, mentioned, but this is basically a expansion pack done correctly, and for that reason, it's going into A tier. It's the best expansion pack made for Half-Life, and right away I'm gonna pick up Blue Shift. So Blue Shift, I basically find serviceable. It's a serviceable expansion pack, which is not as good as it could be. Basically, play as Calhoun. I forget his name for some reason. Barney Calhoun. It, it is basically a set of maps strung together like Half-Life, but less interesting. Less interesting situations. There's not much lore that adds pretty much anything substantial to the actual universe of Half-Life. The only thing you, I mean, the only thing you get to know in this game is that you are Barney and survived, and that's pretty much it. So for that reason, it's going to C tier in my opinion. It's just, is it worth playing? If you want to complete the whole Half-Life universe, you're gonna play it obviously, but I would not recommend getting into Blue Shift. Next up, we got Ricochet. So, Ricochet is a multiplayer PvP arena game about throwing discs at each other. So, how good is that? That is not very good, and it is going into D tier because I do not find this fun or interesting. There's not a reason why you would play this over any other arena game that exists on the planet, mentioning Quake, for example, which is a really safe pick, but Quake, for example, I would play Quake, or even Deathmatch, Half-Life Deathmatch. I would play that over Ricochet. That was pretty much a experiment or filler game made to came with Half-Life, which no one really plays, or maybe there's fans out there, but no. Okay, next up we have Half-Life Counter-Strike. So Counter-Strike, the original. This is the mod version. Or the I guess it could be the standalone. I'm not sure which one it means. It could be the 1.6. I mean it is the same thing basically. So this is probably the most legendary game on this list. It is the most popular game out of any of these games. Maybe only Gmod being more popular in some aspects. But this game, and I'm gonna show on screen, still has a player count. It is still alive after all this time, which I'm trying to remember how much time it's been. It's probably been more than 20 years since this came out. Probably came out around the 2000s, which is 26 years of this game, and it's still alive and still has players. And it is, in my opinion, one of the best FPS shooters ever made. Competitive shooters, that is. It's going into S. There's no reason to not put it into S tier because it is absolutely legendary. Next up, we have Deathmatch Classic. It is not Source, it is Deathmatch Classic. So, Deathmatch Classic is not that interesting. It is a PvP game made with Half-Life weapons and subpar maps, which I don't really find that interesting. It's not as good as Quake, if you're trying to compare it to that. It is simply a multiplayer version of Half-Life with not much going on. There's no reason why you would play this. It is better than Ricochet, so it's going into C tier, which makes it kind of a middle of the road Valve game. Next up, Day of Defeat, which I have not played again, which I will move to the side. Counter-Strike Condition Zero. So we would have two Condition Zeros. If oh, these are actually the second one is deleted scenes. So Condition Zero is basically a improved version of Counter-Strike, but it's never been as popular as Counter-Strike itself. That's probably because people who play CS already own CS and they never wanted to move away from CS and never looked into Condition Zero. So we basically never really gained a huge following. But the game of itself is just Counter-Strike but improved with a single player mode on deleted scenes or the but it's not actually a campaign, it's more like situations or scenarios. Still, I'm gonna put it into. Oh, I'm not really sure where to put this because it's not bad. There's nothing bad about it. It's just not popular. I'm gonna put it into A. Both of these. I'm gonna put them into A because they deserve to be there on their own. Next up, we have CS Source. CS Source. Now, when CS Source came out together with Half-Life 2, or round about that time, it wasn't actually as popular or as loved as the original CS, simply because the competitive aspect has been toned down. The spray patterns had been simplified. Movement was different. It was different. It wasn't worse. I would say that it it is less skillful than the original. Is it worse? No. The maps have been sourcified, if that makes sense. They're still the same maps, but basically it is a different game, CS Source. I would say CS Source is what came before Gmod in that sense, because CS Source was more about party games and having fun with friends on arcadey game modes than actually playing competitively. So I would put CS Source into A tier simply because it is not bad. It has a following and it has a purpose as well. Still being played, not as much as the other games, but still has a purpose. Half-Life Source F. It is simply a worse, broken version of Half-Life. which I'm not gonna get into the details because I'm sure that most people know why this is bad. But basically, it's bad because it is a broken version of Half-Life, and it is not on its own without mod. It is not worth playing. Next up, we have Half-Life 2. Half-Life 2, some people say is overrated. Overrated. I would not say that Half-Life 2 is overrated. It is very much a legendary game that belongs in S tier. Is it better than Half-Life 1? I would say yes in some aspects and no in other aspects. It is better at obviously the physics, which had been implemented into the engine and game running on the Source engine. Obviously, the physics make it better than Half-Life 1, but why is it not as good as Half-Life 1? Well, I think that some of the story and atmosphere and immersion of Half-Life 1 was lost in the transition to a more arcadey gameplay style. And I would knock off points for this game today if I reviewed it for the canal section simply because of how long and arcadey it is. It is basically aged poorly, the canal section on the hovercraft or hoverboat. It has aged poorly, and it is still a legendary game, and it has a purpose as well for Gmod assets still today. Half-Life 2 Deathmatch. Half-Life 2 Deathmatch I would rank the same as Deathmatch Classic. It is a very simple PvP game with Half-Life 2 weapons and maps and player models where the skill ceiling is very low. There's not much to say about this game. It is pretty much so. Lost Coast. Lost Coast was a tech demo for Half-Life 2 made by Valve to show off or showcase reflection, which reflection of materials on the textures in the game world basically is what it was. That was basically the whole point of this tech demo. This on its own lasts about 15 minutes of gameplay where you get to fight Combine and I think a few zombies. I'm not sure. I cannot really remember if you fight zombies in this one, but I know that you fight Combine and you fight a chopper and you meet the light housekeeper. It's not that interesting. There's not much here, and it's going into D for simply not being interesting. Deathmatch Source goes into F together with Half-Life Source. Half-Life 2 Episode 1. Alright, so we're getting into the episodes now. So Episode 1, not in my opinion, is not as good as Episode 2, which is why I'm gonna put it to B. B because it's short. It has pretty underwhelming boss fights, or just a boss fight at the end. The levels are all inside, underground, in the dark, where you constantly need lights and flares, which is kind of scary. Yes, it has that atmosphere immersion, but it is not very interesting to play. Once you have played it once, I don't feel like I ever want to play this again. And it's shorter than episode 2. And talking about episode 2, we're going to put that into S tier because I think episode 2 is exactly how you should make a Half-Life 2 would you say continuation or episode or expansion. It is great. It is long, just long enough. It has enough new content, new mechanics. It has the new vehicle, I forgot the name, the yellow one. It has pretty good environments. I would say that it has really good environments. It has some of the best environments in all of Half-Life. In all of Half-Life, I think Episode 2, Half-Life 2 has the best environments. Really good new enemies. The hunters, I think they're really good enemies. It has really good encounters with the Combine. It has good puzzles. It's just, if not better than Half-Life 2, if Half-Life 2 was the same length and same amount of content as Half-Life 2 Episode 2, I would say that this is actually better. But since Half-Life 2 is actually, I don't know, about 3 or 4 times as long as Episode 2, there's no way you can actually put that above Half-Life 2. Next up, we have Gmod. Now, Gmod is probably the most legendary game on this list, bar CS. I would put that at the very top if I can actually move it left of Half-Life. Gmod, which I'm gonna make actually a video about. Gmod is the most played today game out of all of these, except CS2, of course, but that is something else. Um, there's nothing I can say about Gmod now that hasn't been said before. What is Gmod? It's basically everything. I mean, I'm not trying to shine light where it's not deserved, but it is basically an everything game. You can play anything in Gmod. You can play all the campaigns of Half-Life inside Gmod in co-op. You can play any game mode. You can play Dark RP. You can drive vehicles. You can play Trouble in Terrorist Town. You can make your own mods. You can make your own maps. You can make your own damn dupes and basically anything. Game modes, servers. You can do anything in Gmod. I'm not gonna spend too much time talking about it because I'm gonna make a video about it. Portal. Now, in my opinion, Portal 1 is not that good. Simple reason, I did not get immersed into the story. The game is way too short. I think I completed this game in under, I think, I want to say 2 hours. I think that it says 80 minutes on Steam that I did complete this game in, which is just way too short. The puzzles are really easy, and I just don't find this game that interesting. Team Fortress 2, S tier. Now, Team Fortress 2, I don't want to put into S tier because of the state it's in and it's been in, but it's just a legendary game. I don't know what to say about that. Left 4 Dead 1, first one, A. And I'm not going to talk about that one because I'm going to talk about the second one, which is S. So Left 4 Dead 2 has everything that Left 4 Dead 1 has. I am pretty sure it has everything. I might be mistaken. There's maybe a few things that it doesn't have, but I'm sure that most of the things are in there. All the campaigns are in there from Left 4 Dead 1. Left 4 Dead 2 is basically how you make a co-op shooter FPS to play with your friends or randoms or against friends or against randoms in the versus mode. It has a incredible amount of replayability thanks to how the maps are structured, how the difficulty works, how the pacing is, the modding support. It is simply one of the best co-op games ever made. Portal 2 is going into A for me. So Portal 2 is way more interesting than Portal 1. It is longer, it has co-op, it has more story, it really does. It has better puzzles. It's simply a better version of Portal 1, which is Valve. Valve is really good at that. Valve is good at making good sequels, which is a shame because they don't seem to make trequels. Alien Swarm. Alien Swarm is a free-to-play, top-down, co-op shooter against aliens. It is pretty good. It is good because it's free and you can play with your friends. Download it on Steam, invite each other, and you're off playing. Is it amazing? Well, there's nothing really that stands out about Alien Swarm. It is pretty much a cookie cutter shooter that you can play with your friends for free. If you do not own anything, is going into pretty much deserving of a middle of the road between A and B, pretty much. Counter-Strike Global Offensive. CSGO is dead, obviously. How was it when it was alive? Now, CSGO, when it was alive and kicking, was pretty much the CS game that everyone claims is the best ever made to date, which I would not disagree with, but I would not agree with either, because I would say that CS2 has made many improvements to the actual engine of the game, and I think that it will get improved down the road. So I'm gonna put CSGO. It is pretty much top of A tier. Top of A tier, and I can put it left of I can't seem to fit in there. It does not. Okay, we can do it like that. And I'm gonna grab CS2 and put it right next to it. So we're gonna put these two here. I am not on the hate CS2 bandwagon. I think that CS2 has potential and it's a pretty solid engine. Dota 2. So this is not something I have much experience with, Dota 2. Dota 2 is pretty much a MOBA game in the Source engine, now in Source 2 engine. Pretty much a game for MOBA fans, massively online battle arena, like League of Legends. It is not something I do play, but if this is something that you like, Dota 2 is a pretty good choice in my opinion. Okay, next up we have Counter-Strike Nexon Studio, which is the free-to-play zombie modified Counter-Strike 1.6 game. In my opinion, it is not a great experience because the online is basically full. Online servers are just full of cheaters, and I'm not really sure what's going on in this game. So I'm gonna put this into B because it maybe had a purpose at one point, but today it is not that good. And the last three games we have is the lab and the desk job experience, and obviously Alex. These are three VR experiences. I would not say that all three are games. Only Half-Life Alex is actually a game, and we're gonna put that straight into A because it is the best VR game available pretty much right now as a single player experience. It is pretty much the best. Not worthy of S. It is not as good as these games up here, but it is pretty good. And we have Desk Job, which I remember was a short tech demo for how the controls work for the VR headset, which is pretty much D, and the lab C because it has some pretty cool things you can check out. So that was basically my tier list for all Valve games that I have played or that much matter. I'm not saying that these games do not matter, but I've not played them, so I cannot rank them. But if I did guess, I would guess that most people would put Day of Defeat in S or A tier because it seems to have a lot of nostalgia for it. People remember that game fondly, and the rest of these aren't really that important or significant, if I'm gonna be honest. So thank you for watching. That was my tier list.